Hi, it's Ashleigh from Sweet Dreams Bake Shop, and welcome to an episode of Fail Friday. In this episode of Fail Friday, I show you some of the common mistakes you might make with fondant and with tiered cakes. So let's get into it. I want to make sure that everything is food safe, so I'm taking some cling wrap and wrapping it around some cardboard. This cardboard is going to be the support in between the two book cakes. Then I'm taking scissors and I'm poking a hole right down the center so that I can place my dowel in there later. I am leveling out my cakes here. I'm taking a 9" by 9" square pan and I'm just creating some book shapes out of this. You can really use any type of cake shape that you like. And then I'm going in with some Italian meringue buttercream and crumb coating this. If you would like to watch a more detailed tutorial on how to level and crumb coat your cakes, then you can go ahead and click that link in the right-hand corner. I didn't measure everything super correctly, so I actually had to do a little bit of a Frankenstein cake here and put together 2 other cakes to make a book. If you do have to end up cutting smaller pieces of cake to make another thing, then make sure that you crumb coat it really well and set it in the fridge overnight so nothing falls apart. That was mistake number 1, and here's mistake number 2. I didn't measure this according to the board, so I did need to cut off some cake, but no big deal, I just crumb coated that open edge. So far, so good with this step. I just took some fondant and laid some cornstarch down, rolled it out nice and thin, and then covered this cake. Now, I'm not being too picky about the fact that that top is kind of bumpy because I'm going to be putting another layer of fondant on top, which is going to be the book cover. After smoothing it out, I have this really great tool that creates page indents. Now, if you don't have this, don't worry, you can use any cake tool that you would like to kind of swipe it through. It will be a little bit trickier to keep those lines straight, but I'm sure you can find different ways, like maybe using a bench scraper to indent. And I'm going to go ahead and do the exact same thing with this book as well. Now, because this one is going to be stacked on top, the cardboard is inevitably going to show through, and that is my next mistake on this cake. And remember, whenever you're making a cake, the more perfect you make it as you go along, the less you'll have to add later. So I made lots of little errors on this, so I do end up adding a lot of details, which I actually was very happy with in the end. That's just the way caking goes sometimes. These little strips are actually supposed to go on the bottom, right on that board, and you can kind of see them right there in the shot. I didn't show it because I actually didn't film it properly, so I thought I was filming it, but you know, like I've done before, it wasn't perfectly in the shot. You want to measure out this part fairly closely, but it doesn't always work out exactly the way you want it, so it's totally fine to go through and cut off these edges. I wouldn't necessarily call this a mistake, but I do think scissors are a great thing to have on hand to quickly fix any fondant cutting issues. It's really hard to do that with an X-Acto knife if your blade isn't super sharp. Putting in my supports here, and make sure that you let those bubble tea straws stick out just a little bit because you don't want the cake actually resting on the cake. You want the cake to be resting on these bubble tea straws on top of the cardboard, of course. That wooden dowel also has a point to it, so when I stick it in, it goes right into the cake board, and that way there will be no movement between the two cakes. Luckily, in this Fail Friday episode, there is no support issues with this cake. Making my little grad cap here. Now, because I was running low on time, I didn't have time for the top of the hat to dry. Normally what I would do is just cut a piece of square fondant and let it dry a little bit, and then it will be stiff enough to put on top. But I ran into some issues, so I'll show you how I fixed that later. Cover that support at the top with the grad cap, which actually not only covers it, but also helps hold the grad hat in place. All right, now it's really time to fix all those little mistakes that I made along the way. I'm taking this little beaded border and I'm placing it right on the edge of that cardboard so it won't be visible. When I envisioned this cake in the first place, I actually did see a lot of flowers and beading on it anyway, but now the little mistakes that are visible just help me decide where to put those flowers and beading. So I tried to put the little grad cap on and it was not ready, but this cake needed to go out the door in a matter of minutes. So I took a piece of cardboard, covered it in cling wrap, and then I put a little piece of fondant on top. Now this isn't the best way to do this because it is a little bit puffy. I would have liked it to sit a lot more flat, but I didn't have any tin foil. This would actually be done a lot more easily with tin foil because tin foil will sit flatter. I ended up over-steaming my cake just a little bit, and what I mean by that is some of that black color started seeping onto the white, so I needed to do more things to cover that up. Using this rose cutter is super easy. It's the easiest way to make quick and beautiful roses. If you want to see a tutorial on how I do that, you can go ahead and click that link in the upper right-hand corner. Time to add the tassel of the cap, and all you need to do is take a piece of fondant and roll it out thin, kind of like a worm, but make sure that the end is a little bit thicker, and then you slice those little edges and you get a little tassel. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you can be part of the Sweetie fam. Right now, I'm uploading daily, so make sure you hit that notification bell so you know when I upload. Also, be sure to comment, request, or ask a question. I love hearing from you guys. And make sure to send in your baking fails, and by next Friday, your baking fail could be fixed. Bye!